Hi guys, it's Miss Osuna here, and we are doing part 3. This is our final part to our watercolor. So everything is dried. Basically, I'm just going to add more skin tones and darken to my desired preference. So I'm going to dip my brush. This is the one I'm using, the same as part 1 and 2. So it's long and it has a nice point. This is a number 5. And I'm going to just dip it in water and then a little bit of paint. And then smear that around on my palette. Alright, so now I'm going to start off with a peachy color. And I'm just going to add a little bit more color. And then I'll be done. So I'm on the darker side of my sketch, on the ear, underneath the eye. And I'm moving left and right and up and down. And now I'm just going to start to fill in a little bit, dipping in the paint in the watercolor, let it have a puddle of color in the palette. Go down the dark side, left, right, up and down. I'm not touching too much of the paint on the lip. So there is the left side here, and I just have a little bit of paint. I'm going to just pull it over whatever's left on the brush into the light side, underneath the cheek, under the eye, following the bridge of the nose, on top of the nose, back up near the forehead, and just start to push. So I'm just literally adding tiny bit more color. Little water, little peachy color. I am down under the neck, going into the light side. This is our final step. The whole entire sketch will feel lighter on the right here and darker on the left, but you can switch that around. So you can make your dark side on the right if you want. I recommend trying both ways. Okay, so I now am ready for my second color. So I did a peachy at first. Now I'm going to darken things up a bit here. And I'm going to mix in 2 colors to make 1 color. The more mixing of colors I find, the better the result. And a little bit of chocolate in there. So I'm mixing in a rust color and a chocolate and a peach. Okay, so I have a little puddle here that I can play with. And now I can just start to darken it to my own preference so that I can get a look of someone who is a woman of color. Still moving left and right, up and down. Of course, you can do any type of woman with any type of color. I'm just giving you the information as to what I'm doing so that you want, if you want, you can go on ahead and recreate it with similar colors. On top of the nose, a tiny little bit. I'm just filling her in, just to my preference. Dirty water now, and I'm going to smear. There we go. Smear that around. Dirty water. And a little bit more dirty water. Blend that a tiny bit. So I'm painting with a lot of movement. Okay, a little more color right here under the eye. A little more color underneath the cheekbone. But it's still, in comparison, lighter on the right, darker on the left. And tiny bit more color put over here above the eye, underneath the brow. Try and be careful not to touch some of the pen because that will run unless you want that style. A little bit more. I dipped it in the color. I'm going to do underneath the cheek, the ear, by the eye, above the eye, below the eye. And a tiny bit more color underneath the chin. Darken it up a bit on the right side here. On the right ear. It's really the left ear, but as I look at it, it's on the right side of the sketch. So you're just adding color to your preference. And now dirty water. Use my towel to dab off some of that water. So it's not too muddy, not too drippy, not too wet. A little bit more chocolate color here for the brow with just a point. Chocolate here for this brow as well. And tiny bit more, excuse me. Yeah, there we go. And a tiny bit over by the ear where the brow is. All right. So now that I have that, I'm going to clean off my brush, dry it, and I'm just going to dab that little bit there so that doesn't run. I think I'm going to have a little bit of color here by the brow and the bridge of the nose. I'm going to come down, give a tiny hint of contour. She's doing contour. Hey, girl, hey. Dry off my brush a little bit. Push that color over. Smear it around a little, up and down here. Keep that a little bit lighter for a highlight. Do the same on the right side here. The brow, and add a little tiny bit of contour. I'm painting left, right, up, and down, and I'm going in some curved shapes above the eye. I'll darken a tiny bit, so I'm just dipping into a little bit of color that's a chocolate brown for the lid. And then I can just blend that by touching it and smearing it a little bit. So I'm painting right on top of where I created it. Just darken that a little bit. And I'm going to do the tiniest bit for the nostril, right here on the right side, here on the left side. Then I'm going to give a little circular motion for the round tip of the nose. There we go. And dry off my brush, push that a little bit here on the right, push it a little bit there on the left so that it's very subtle. A little bit of color, and one more time, a little smile, and then our parenthesis C shape, it'll be after. So I frown on the edges toward the left and frown on the edges toward the right. So now that gives me a little bit of a nose. So I'm going to dry off and clean my brush, and then I'm going to just push down here, smear that out. There we go. So now you have a hint of a nose. We just did a smile in the center like a circle, and then a frown on those edges. And you can see hint of the bridge of the nose. Okay, we are just about done. I'm going to pull out a little bit of ear action in case you want to give earrings. Maybe a little bit with the paint left over here. Oh, there's my dog, Butterscotch. What's she up to? She's always doing things. Okay. And I'm going to dry this off. Smear it a little bit. Any lines that you feel are too hard, you can just dip your brush right in the water and push it around and smear it around. There you are. You have a lovely beginning for your watercolor sketch. This is for our level 1 fashion sketching. Definitely leave a comment below on how things are going for you. And happy sketching.